Messi doing his current India tour at the moment and visiting Chettri, which is one of the goats of Indian football, but also the goats of international football, made me realize that we don't really appreciate football as football fans outside of Europe. We really don't, because most of you wouldn't know who Chettri is, even though he's one of the top scorers on the stage internationally. And that makes me really sad, but also really made me think about the current situation in football. Like, guys, we only really pay attention to the top 5 leagues in the world, and at the moment we barely do. Like, I only really hear about the Prem, La Liga, or the Bundesliga, and Serie A and Ligue 1 are a lot of the time just an afterthought. And you may be just saying that, and I may just be saying that right now because I live here in Canada and maybe not in France or not in Italy, where obviously there's strong communities in those leagues. But what I hear about the most is literally Prem or La Liga. Really, guys, I don't really hear about any other league, and maybe Bundesliga, but not really any other league too much about the moment. And that really hampers my knowledge as a football fan, because I don't know what's going on around the world, and we don't really know as a fan base either. Like, yeah, a lot of you guys wouldn't have known who Chettri was if I didn't talk about him in this video, or if Messi didn't go to see him, and now you're going to search him up and be like, oh wow, I can't believe he scored that many goals. Isn't that great? And you're going to be like, wow, India's national football team isn't that bad. No, or something like that. Like, yes, there's quality everywhere, guys. Even that video the other day of that guy in Vietnam doing the little break dance along on the ball, like, yes, Vietnam has a national team, there's players, but we just don't really appreciate those players because I feel like we're so stuck on like the top 5 leagues. And I get it, rightfully so, because that's where the best of the best are, and that's where the narratives are, the storylines are. Even with Ueda at the moment, even though he's not top 5 leagues, he's in the Eredivisie, it's still a big league, and that's where the stories come from. But what I realized that also we miss a lot of football, like a lot of great football, because any footballer will tell you there's good footballers everywhere. And not just playing professionally. There are good footballers everywhere, guys. And I feel like we really damage ourselves as a footballing community and fan base by just paying attention to the top 5 leagues, because even not too long ago, I was having a conversation about fucking CONCACAF or CONMEBOL over UEFA. And the person I was talking to was making a really good point. Like, yeah, European football is good and all, but like, there will never be as passionate as fucking CONMEBOL. And me being me and thinking I'm always right all the time, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? No, like, European football is the best. That's what I'm thinking in my brain. But when I really took a step back and just listened, and I was like, shit, you know what? Like, I actually haven't seen. Let me go watch a CONMEBOL game. Like, let me just go see on TV. And then I'm watching CONMEBOL game, and I'm like, holy shit, holy fans, And then even just seeing Canada play Ecuador here, and the amount of Ecuadorians that showed up to the game compared to the amount of Canadians were there just goes to show that this runs deep in South America. But I didn't know that because I was too focused on watching my top 5, my UEFA football, like that type of style of play. And I think that's why I loved Brighton so much for a bit of the while, because not a bit of the while, for a while, because they were getting players from other countries that were relatively under-scouted. Like, they had Mitoma from Japan, they had Estupinan from Ecuador, we have Caicedo from Ecuador, we have fucking Enciso from Paraguay, And we all know in hindsight that the only countries in South America that are good at football aren't just Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, and Colombia. We know that as a collective of human beings. We know that there's other good players around, or even we can say Chile, right? Chile, my fault. We know that as a collective, that there's probably gotta be some wonder kids somewhere in like Bolivia, But we just don't look, or we don't appreciate, because we just don't watch the games. Like, we know Brazil is a good footballing nation, but do any of you watch the Brasileirão? Exactly. That's That's what I thought. We don't, you know? And then we're surprised, right, when we see a player like Esteval come out, or we're surprised when we see a player like McAllister come out of Argentina. It's like, maybe if we just took a second and just stepped back and like just, hey, look guys, look what's happening in the other part of the world. Maybe we would have seen that Esteval was a no-brainer. We would have seen that McAllister was a no-brainer. If we really just got a chance to just step out for a little bit. Even too, like A-League in Australia, great league. You know, there's already teams, it's established, it's great. Japanese league, Korean league, there's so many leagues. Even in Scandinavia, the Swedish league, the Danish league, and the Norwegian league. Like, I bet you guys, if we all just watched the Molde game not too long ago, we would have been like, wait, Molde finished second, and wait, there's this 17-year-old and he scored 12 goals and his name is Erling Haaland. That's a bit of an anomaly, don't you think? You know? And I feel like the only player that really got that from the Norwegian league was Odegaard at that time, because Odegaard was directly scouted by Madrid, and Madrid comes calling, you know, you're going to be shown, you know, the world's going to know who you are. But we all know there's players from everywhere. That's why it's so amazing when we see a player like Kvaratskhelia come out of Georgia, you know? It's like Georgia found this absolute baller, but I bet you there's a bunch of Kvaratskhelia, and there's probably a better player than Kvaratskhelia out there. He just didn't get scouted, and I'm not saying that's our responsibility, but I'm just trying to say, as fans, we should maybe just pay a bit more attention to players and teams outside of what we're normally used to watching to. Like, for example, there's a player that I've been absolutely obsessed with for the moment. Absolutely obsessed with. I think he's so great. He's a great striker, and he's not because I just see a couple of highlights and I'm like, whoa, this guy's incredible. Like, why has nobody signed him? No, his numbers back him up too. He's got 15 or 16 goals in 16 games, and his name is Francolino Drew. And I think you guys should really go home and look at his highlight tape and tell me why no team in Europe, bigger team in Europe, has bought him out yet. Literally, because the things this guy does on the ball is absolutely incredible. But you know how I found him, guys? I literally did a quick search on FB Ref, and I was like, let me see what's going on in the Danish league. And I found this anomaly of a player who is only 21, by the way, and I found him 2 years ago. Yeah, that's right, 2 years ago. And his market value is around 13 million. Yes, he did sign a new contract with FC Michelin, so that will give them a bit more leverage if any team in Europe comes calling. But, I mean, if you've seen his highlights, or there's definitely Michelin fans that are like, yeah, this kid's always been good. It's just like the spotlight just isn't on him at the moment, which is fair enough. Do I think he's better than a Nico Paz or something like that? I don't know. Nico Paz plays in the Serie A, which is a better league. So I'm going to have to go with Nico at the moment because it's just a tougher league. But is this player cracked? Absolutely. Another example, Nestori Irakuda. Yes, I know it didn't work out for him at Bayern Munich. But if, again, you followed the A-League and you watched his story and looked how he's played, you knew there was a player there. From the get-go, there was a player there. And you knew. Or even here in Canada, you just watched the MLS, Davies, boom, player. We all knew it. You know, it was gonna happen. But that's what I mean. If we just watch other leagues, it's not surprising when a player makes that move to Europe because they always had that skill. They had the extra bit of flair, the extra bit of edge, you know, that people watching them in the league already knew, yeah, like this player is going places. Like Davies was without a doubt, like he's going places. He was balling. He was playing on the wing. You know, he wasn't even a fullback at the time. Bayern made him a fullback, basically, and now he's one of the best fullbacks. Probably. It's just, yes, injuries have held him back. Same thing with McAllister, though. But people in Argentina would tell you the same thing. Enciso, Caicedo. Do I need to name more players here? Are we catching the drift? Haaland, Odegaard. You know, the list goes on and 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 on, you know? It's just so obvious sometimes. I just wish as a fan base we just paid a bit more attention to other leagues, because then we would see these players sooner and we'd actually get to appreciate them before they made that big jump in Europe. And then we're like, oh, well, I guess I told you so, you know? Or I guess that's cool now. I bet you Parrot too, you guys could have seen that as well if we just paid a bit more attention to the fucking Irish League. Literally. And that's really it. So back to Sunil Chettri. I know I kind of went off topic here a little bit, but that's what I mean. Like, game recognizes game. Like, Messi is literally going to India and visiting this guy. Is it a PR move? Who knows? I don't think so, because the guy Messi seems genuinely happy to see him. And I think a player who's achieved as much as Messi has in his career can really appreciate a player like Chettri and see the numbers that he's done on the international stage and really be like, wow, like, good for you, man. Like, that's quite an achievement, you know? Because I've noticed that, like, in life, people that do well don't put others down that do well too. They congratulate them, you know, they're impressed, you know, because they understand what it takes to get there, and they'll appreciate others' effort. Do they still want to win? Fuck yeah, you know. But Messi seeing Chettri there and recognizing his game is great, and it's just too bad that, I mean, Chetri's getting to the end of like his career. I think he's retired actually, honestly, at this point. So it's just bad. It's just a bit sad that he's getting the recognition that he should have deserved a bit more in his career. But I feel like people could have just seen that if we just took a little step back and just been like, wow, there's just this guy in India who's just been scoring so many goals internationally. Like, why don't we just like talk about him? But the same thing, that's what I noticed. Like, as soon as a player leaves, Big Five is just nothing. Like, when was the last time you heard something about Oscar? Realistically, like, Oscar's done great things in China. You know, he's learned the language, he's adapted, you know, he's really helped his team, helped the players, helped the coaching. But the only thing I've heard about Oscar is him just retiring recently. But if you ask the people where Oscar played at, he had so many positive impacts on the team that just wasn't getting coverage, you know? And yes, we're getting a bit more coverage from the Saudi League, but I don't know how much of that is. But we will see, you know? And yes, Ronaldo is there too, so that's a pretty big name, and there's some big names in that league as well. So, I mean, good for the Saudi League. Good job, guys. I know they're trying to make it more serious of a league, and I mean, they came with the bang, so good on the league owners for that, you know? It's something we're all well aware of at the moment, so good for them. But yeah, I just noticed that we just don't take time to really look at other players around the world, because there are good players everywhere, even in like Belgium, guys. Like, come on, it's not even that far from the top 5 leagues. And then we're just like a bit surprised when we see, oh my God, there's a De Bruyne. Or like, same thing if we just looked at Switzerland. Salah was there at one point, you know? So there's players. It's just like, I just wish we just paid a bit more attention, because maybe we get to see some of these diamonds in the rough, as they would call it in Blue Lock. And I don't know why I'm referencing Blue Lock here. I do love it as a show, but it was just something that just made me think that, hey, I think we do as a football community just need to appreciate a bit more of the players outside of the top 5 leagues, because I bet you'll find some real gems if you just do a little deep digging. And I'm gonna start doing it a bit more too now, and that's what I'm trying to do here with this channel here. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Peace.